An osmosis of Renaissance personalities began to occur. Speakeasies like the Clam House, Nest Club, and the Jungle became places reserved for the in crowd to listen to the new sounds of the day, known as jazz. Born in New Orleans, Louisiana, a new improvisational form of music known as jazz would become widely popular as a result of blacks leaving the South in cities like New Orleans and taking culture with them to cities in the North, like Harlem, New York City. All white crowds would be serenaded by the sounds of Louis Armstrong, Duke Ellington, Bessie Smith, Billie Holiday, and Jelly Roll Morton at venues like the Cotton Club. The zenith of cool would be broadcasted over the radio waves from the Cotton Club. Jazz is the first American art form created entirely within the American psyche by African American people. The Harlem Renaissance also represented a style reserved for African Americans that strove to be the creme de la creme of Harlem, New York City. You can see that clearly in how we dressed and how we presented ourselves. Still, in a racist society. When you look at jazz spots like the Cotton Club, people of color couldn't go to the Cotton Club, and that was during the Harlem Renaissance. By 1925, the Harlem Renaissance was in full swing. Immigrants from the South and now the Caribbean continued to pour into Harlem. What was happening in Harlem caught the attention of a Howard University philosophy professor, Alan Locke. A Philly native, Alan Locke earned a degree in English and philosophy at Harvard University. Locke's sojourn into the cultural terrain of the Harlem Renaissance begins with Alan Locke being selected to be the guest editor of the highly illustrative Survey Graphic in May of 1925. The Survey Graphic, founded in 1921 by editor Paul Kellogg, tackled the national and international issues of the day. Quickly becoming an inignorable subject of interest, the Harlem Renaissance would become the topic of discussion in May of 1925. In an issue entitled Harlem, Mecca of the New Negro. The collection of stories guest edited by Locke would go on to entrance Survey Graphic's white readers of Harlem's cultural offerings. Art and literature would be paired to tell what was happening in Harlem. To white readers who up until the Survey Graphics issue in March had no idea what was going on. Soon, white patrons would be moved by their curiosity to witness a new form of music known as jazz in hip speakeasies like the Cotton Club. Soon, all of the guests at the trendiest spots in Harlem were white.
For all those artists to be in one area and to everything to be happening all the time, it was just a beautiful period. All these artists, great black people making art. That's something that I wish I could be a part of, wish I could see.
Later that year, Locke would go on to release an extended version of the issue with a vast collection of essays, short stories, and interviews from the new children of this era. Harlem became the subject of study, a microcosm of culture, growing and creating itself. It wouldn't be long before Broadway took notice.